welcome to the final edition of 2018, the December edition of Another Way to Praise right here on Praise TV. Thank you so much for tuning in and being with us tonight. We are so happy you are here. And I know that I went on social media. I told everybody, I said, if you're an independent artist, you need to be tuned in tonight because I have some friends of mine that are the bomb at what they do, and I want them to be able to share with you. So if you're an independent gospel artist, if you are involved in the gospel industry in any kind of way, we want you to be tuned in tonight because I got some fabulous guests. But before we get going, I would like to have a short prayer. Is that okay with you guys? We just want to ask the Lord to bless this particular edition. It's the last edition of the year. Father, we just thank you so much for bringing us through another year. And we pray, Father, that this particular program will be a blessing to those that are lifting up your name with music. We want to be excellent in every area that you have blessed us to offer our ministries in, and we're thanking you for every guest that is here at this table so that they can share their wisdom with us. And we thank you for it, Father, in the name of Jesus. Amen. 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 Well, you know what? Tonight I have 4 guests that are absolutely spectacular at what they do. First of all, to my left, probably your right, I have Miss Tracy Artis, one of my dear friends, President and CEO of I Hear Music in the Air conference she gives every year, usually in May, right? Welcome, Tracy.
Thank you.
I think this is the first time you've been with me.
It is.
We've been with a lot of things together,
Right.
but this first time you've been on here, welcome. I'm so glad you're here tonight. And next to Tracy is Bruce Knight, President and CEO of Push It Marketing and Promotions. And I guess I have to be a little bit transparent. This is my husband. So for those of you that don't know, welcome, Bruce. He's usually behind the scenes working on the show. And across from Bruce is Mr. Tommy McGuffey, Minister of Music and Worship Arts at Omega Baptist Church in Dayton, Ohio. Welcome, Tommy.
Thank you for having me.
He came all the way down the road to be with us tonight. Thank you. And to my right is my girl and dear friend, Teresa Terry Anderson. She is a recording artist and minister of music at New Mission Baptist Church right here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Welcome, 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 welcome. I'm so glad you guys are here.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
For the invite.
Absolutely. One of the things that is dear to me, because I'm a recording artist too, is being an independent artist. We carry a lot of weight because we're not attached to record companies. So I think it's really important for independent artists to understand all of the responsibilities that kind of go along with that, because we are the record company. I mean, we basically have to do everything. And then it also helps to have other people in the industry that have operated in the industry for years to kind of guide us along. Yeah. So that's why I appreciate their gifts and what they offer as well, because there are a lot of people out here doing stuff and wasting a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort. And it's all going to be work. It's a lot of work. I will never tell somebody it's not. It's a lot of work. But if God has called you to it, you'll do it.
That's right.
It has to be in here.
That's right.
And if it's not, you won't stick with it.
That's right.
So my prayer is that tonight, the things that you guys are sharing will be a blessing to the viewing audience. Amen. So I want to start with Teresa. Why don't you give us a brief history on how you knew that not just you were a musician, because I know you kind of came up with that, but how did you know you were called to be a recording artist? That's totally different than just being a church singer.
That's totally different. Yeah. Well, you know, starting off playing for my church, which was almost like 30-some years ago. Mm-hmm. I've always liked to sing, you know, kind of the typical thing that people say, like, oh, yeah, I've been singing since I was young or whatever. But it was embedded in my spirit to start writing, to write. And the songs that I began to write were songs of my experiences, songs of my life. And so I really, at some point, I really was praying to God because I really wanted people to hear my life.
So you wanted to branch out.
I wanted to branch out because I believe people can connect with something that has happened to me.
Yes,
has happened to them. And that's been my goal and my drive the whole time is encouraging.
Yes.
Being encouragement
Yes.
to someone else through what I've been through, and what God has taken me through. So that was my drive to get started.
Wow. So how long you been at New Mission? You've been over there long.
Lynette will kill me, but I'm going to say it. I've been playing for New Mission for 32 years.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah, ooh-wee.
Girl, you one of them legacy minister music.
Right.
You one of them legacy minister musics in the
Right.
city. But they're blessed by you over there, Terry.
We have a good time. Yeah.
They are blessed by you. That's why you've been there so long. Those people love you over there. So I had the same question for you, Tommy. How did you know when, I guess I have to keep using the mic on the table. How did you know when you felt like you had got to the point where God wanted you to be a recording artist?
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. I guess I have some of the similarities, I guess, there in your story as well. So I guess I have to kind of go back at the top, and I'll make it really quick. So I grew up in a holiness church. I come from a holiness church called the Alapamas. And so kind of growing up in a holiness church, you kind of are confined in a sense, per se. And so I wouldn't have known then that I would be doing this now, especially because, you know, if you fellowship, you're normally within your own churches. You have
Right.
church 6 to 7 days a week, if not really every day, 2 and 3 services a day, you know. And so I would have never imagined that. And so when I heard the voice of the Lord finally telling me to kind of branch out and to step out into music ministry, I just thought it would just be to be a minister of music, and not knowing that I would step into what I'm doing now. And I think what really pushed me is my love for Sunday music. Being a minister of music, one of the challenges at times, depending upon your caliber and your level of your band and your singers, you can't always replicate
Right.
the same music that we're hearing on the radios at times. And it's nothing against it, because I love the good music. I love to drive to some good vibes, you know, and things like that. But sometimes we can't always have those songs on Sunday mornings, and we have to wait till like special concerts or special
Right.
events or something like that. And so I was like, oh man, like, okay, like I really feel like we could really use some things. And it wasn't until I joined our Gospel Music Workshop of America in my college days, and once I got involved in there, and then it just kind of evolved out of that. And the Lord was also giving me music as He gave you, and to just start writing. And it was through my songwriting that was kind of my catalyst. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, cool. Well, I guess I can do this. So yeah, so that sums it up.
Yeah. Because God will use that as probably the first signal that
Yes.
He's getting ready to do something else. That's how it was for me.
Yes,
Because
ma'am.
you don't necessarily, just because He gives you some songs don't mean you're supposed to be, you know what I mean? Sometimes He gives you the gift of songwriting to write for somebody else. So
Right.
you don't always know that, but it's like He kind of pushes you out there.
Right.
So I can definitely relate to both of your experiences. Miss Tracy, would you share with us and our viewing audience exactly what I Hear Music is and what the purpose of I Hear Music is about?
I Hear Music Day to Day is a promotions and marketing company that represents gospel artists. So I have 2 children, they're 17 and 13, and when my little boy was about 3, I left Sony Music so that I could do my independent company and not have to do about 60 trips a year, because that's about how many I was doing. So I asked the Lord to still, you know, keep me in the same space, because I love what I was doing. And so I Hear Music Day to Day promotes and markets gospel artists. My current roster is the Motown Gospel roster. So I'm promoting right now Tasha Cobbs Leonard, Brian Courtney Wilson, Lexi, an artist by the name of Tori Kelly. And outside of my Motown Gospel roster, I have Pastor Charles Jenkins out of Chicago, and I just released a new Fred Hammond single called Tell Me Where It Hurts. So on a day-to-day basis, the meat of my company is that I contact radio stations all over the country in hopes that they will play my music. And the chart that I chase is Billboard, BDS. It has about 52 stations that report, and then I also look at the media-based chart and the gospel hybrid chart, which merges the streams of an artist and the radio airplay. So that's what I do on a day-to-day basis. I Hear Music has some different special events that we do throughout the year, and different people that we partner with. So we have I Hear Music. This will be our 18th year. It's always the 3rd weekend of May. This year it's the 1st weekend of May, because my oldest will graduate the 3rd weekend of May. And we'll have Fred Hammond as our headline this year. And so it's always an awesome weekend. We always have a lot of independent artists come in, like on Saturday. You've hosted a showcase before, along with Jay Moss, and then we have the Legends Ball on Sunday, where we celebrate national and local talent in the organization. So that's a little bit about what I Hear Music does. And I've been doing it a long time, and I've enjoyed it. And I always tell people, it really doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. It's what you've been doing with the time that you've been doing it.
That's it. That's
So in the
true.
years that I've been doing it, I've been diligent, I've been passionate and faithful. And I've just been blessed to have a really good run. And I still enjoy it, Doris.
Yeah.
I still enjoy it because I've been doing it half my life. Yeah, half my life, but I still enjoy it. And God has also allowed I Hear Music to sow into other people like you.
Yes.
And so whenever anybody knocks on my door, if I have the resource, and it's not always money that people need.
Right.
Sometimes it's just consultation, advice, you know, because you're right, what you said earlier is real key. I've seen people strive every day to be the next Kurt Franklin, and there'll never be another. Someone trying to sound like an Anita Wilson, and she has her own sound.
Right, exactly.
But I always tell everybody, be what God called you to be.
That's right.
And so I Hear Music is just here to serve
That's right.
and help national and independent artists all
That's
over
right.
the country. And I've been blessed to do it, and I love doing it. Yeah.
And we love you for doing it. I started out with Tracy. The very first I Hear Music.
sure did.
And I was the worship leader for several years.
You sure were.
When we first started I Hear Music.
Yeah.
So
And you also sang on the showcase.
I
And
did.
when you got up, everybody that was on the judges panel said, there's something special about her. Yes.
God bless you.
Yes.
Thank you so
You are
much.
anointed.
Now why what she said sound like you? Because I live with this. So Bruce, why don't you explain what Push It Marketing and Promotion does?
Well, like Tracy, I started in the industry in retail and distribution, primarily working for ABC Dunhill. And at the time, they had a variety of artists from blues, rock and roll, gospel, country western, jazz, and I could take a new CD home every day, and that was kind of what encouraged me to be a little expanded as opposed to just my particular preference for music. And so at that point, sales of records with ABC Dunhill, where I would sell records from our catalog, our new releases, as well as our established artists. And at the time, most of the artists had sold millions of records. Some of the names may be a little dated from the time when I started, but Three Dog Night, Steely Dan, Jim Croce, George Clinton, and I eventually relocated from Michigan, where I'm originally from, to Texas and covered Texas, Louisiana, and Oklahoma, and got into radio promotions, and that's what initiated that. So I had the retail, I had the distribution, and then the radio kind of gave me a balance to understand the business of music. Most artists today, still look for record deals and things within which they can evolve. But today, as we were saying earlier, most of the artists actually become their own record label, unbeknownst to them too often. And being able to have, a network of individuals helps to build a foundation so that you can kind of grow your ministry. This year, or last year, I had 3 artists that were nominated for Stellar Awards, the Williams Singers, the Men of God's Heart, and the God's Posse. And this year, I'm working with Dorothy Norwood, one of another artist of legacy that is a matriarch, at this point to the traditional gospel industry. But, music has evolved to the point where retail doesn't exist the way that it used to, as we mentioned earlier. And a lot of the music is now sold through electronic downloads, through digital downloads. And that's the transition that a lot of artists using social media have to evolve to. Because the only other way to really sell music is through either having a product table at a performance. And in fact, a lot of them that can have tour dates and have product tables in order to sell product can actually find themselves on some of the Billboard charts from CD sales, venue CD sales. But then, aside from the radio, I also do television promotions and marketing and books for several national TV programs.
Amen. So Teresa and Tommy, what is your current, so we got the business side. What, as an independent artist, what is your current perception of the gospel music industry as it pertains to an independent artist? I mean, how do you perceive it right now? Because it is changing to me. It is constantly changing. So
it's changing.
from your perception as an independent artist, how do you, you know, how are you viewing the gospel music industry right now?
I'll let you answer that.
You know, I just kind of remember, like, back in the day, you know, of when I was first starting trying to put out a little tape or put out, you know, it was a tape, then went to CD. But it seemed back then that it was easier to get a connection with a record label than it is now. Because I've noticed that as I've traveled through the years of doing it, I realize now, and I could be wrong, and Tracy's here, she can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like now record labels really already want you to have everything.
Absolutely.
They want you to already have the CD done, songs done, and that they're ready to push or recreate or whatever what you have done already. Now, back in the day, it was like you could go in there with one little demo, take it in, and
they
go
don't
like,
have budgets for that anymore.
That to me is what's harder now to me as an independent artist, because now it's harder for me to get in that door.
You're the record company.
Well, yeah, I'm seeing that now.
You're the record company.
Yeah.
How about you, Tommy? What is your perception of the gospel music industry right now?
Well, in my short tenure, you know, just kind of seeing some things, and there is a lot. It can be so overwhelming. I have a group, Tommy McGuffey and True Worship, and so when we started in 2010, you know, there's no roadmap, there's no blueprint. You know, I'm out of Dayton, Ohio, so there's not really like a sketch to where we know, like, okay, so you want to take this route, you want to take this route, you take this route. And I've been very lucky and fortunate to connect with some of our own artists in our city, and they've been very, very instrumental, especially Tanya Baker. She has definitely been very helpful to kind of say, well, here, you know, here's how I did this, or you did that, or doing this. And it's kind of different with having a group, too. And so it's like, okay, what do you do? Where do we start at? Do we put out something? Do we need to get a management? You know, different things like that. And it can be so, like, overwhelming because there are so many people who are wanting to be an artist and that are so talented. And it's like, well, where do you start at? How do you differentiate what you do versus what they do? And what is going to make you different if somebody sees you and sees them? And I will say that it's overwhelming. Overwhelming.
It's definitely overwhelming.
Overwhelming at times.
And
Yes, ma'am.
I think you have to be comfortable in who you are. I think that really makes a difference.
Yes, ma'am.
Because the internet basically broke open the way for it to be. That's why it's so flooded with so many artists now. Because everybody feels like they can do it, whether they can or not. They do. Right. There's a lot of people that feel like they can do it. Now, whether you call to it is something different. Right. But I think you really have to be comfortable with who God made you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm in a season, I'm starting to come out of it, but I went through a season, several years, where the Lord kind of took me out of the recording part, and he had me in other aspects of ministry, where I've been preaching and doing workshops and that kind of thing. Writing. I just finished my third book that I should be releasing in 2019. So it's kind of like he's almost evolving me, you know what I mean? And now I'm coming back around where he's starting to push me back to the music portion. Yes. So I think you have to be a person that's open to what it is he wants you to do. That's why you really can't just jump in this thing for yourself.
You have to know.
I think you really have to understand that this is something God wants you to be doing.
But you got to be prepared too, Doris.
I agree.
And that's the challenge I see with a lot of independent artists. I think some people have missteps. I'm not saying that that's happened for the two artists here in the room, but because I've been doing this a long time, I've seen people already do a recording and then try to figure out what to do with the
Right.
recording. Don't do that.
Right.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
Study to show yourself approved in all things.
Yeah.
So we know you do that with the Word of God. But if you're going to be in the industry, you need to study the industry.
Yeah.
So you want to know ahead of time what is marketing, what is promotion, what is
Exactly.
distribution. Do I just put out a single,
Right.
or do I need to do a full CD? If I'm going to do a full CD, what am I going to do with this full CD?
Yes.
How will the masses get this music?
Right.
Right.
Yes, you always need a manager. You need someone to manage whatever it is you have. It doesn't have to be someone with national notoriety. It could be someone that's already a part of your team that has business sense.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
right, yeah.
You need to know about publishing.
Yep.
Am I going to be with BMI? Am I going to be with ASCAP? You know the radio in your particular market. So if you hail from Dayton, find out what is in my market that can help me push my music. It may be an urban station that has a Sunday show, because a lot of markets don't have 24-hour gospel radio shows.
Right.
But that's what I see happening with a lot of the independent artists, because let's talk about what independence is.
Yes.
It means that you're independent of the major.
Yeah.
That's
So,
right.
okay,
That's right.
here you have a national gospel music industry that is thriving, by the way.
Right.
And when people say that things are changing, to me, they're changing for the better.
I
And
agree with that.
People keep saying that sales are going down. No, sales maybe the way that we used to know them are, but they're actually going up because now we buy music differently.
That's right.
Right.
Okay,
It's a different
so
medium.
all that I've seen that has changed in the years that I've been in the industry is that God has opened more doors and He's given us more platforms.
It's evolving.
Because when I first started in the industry, I used to go to War Memorial with Dr. Bobby Jones. And that's where he used to do his tapings at in Nashville, Tennessee. And then I remember us going to Las Vegas for the artist retreat, and we would tape there, and the labels start catching on that so many people were coming, so they start doing their live recordings there. I remember Fred Hammond recorded their live one year, and I remember Tremaine and Walter coming there doing taping. So I've just seen things change, but God keeps giving us platforms.
I agree.
Amen. Yes,
And so there wasn't a time where I knew so many churches recording. But in the last 15 years, church choirs have become really big. And you see a lot of pastors, they may have a book and a CD, but there is preparation in all of that.
It is.
And so I know that it can be hard for independent artists because you're trying to figure out the budget here. Like I work with Tanya Baker, she's a personal friend. And I remember sitting at the table with her, looking at one of her CDs, and she was investing in herself. And she needed to look at and strategize it. That's what you have to do. I told somebody recently, take 2 years to build up and store up everything you need. And all of it's not just money.
Yeah.
Right.
But take 2 years to
Yep.
build up and store up the knowledge,
That's
your
right.
team, so that when you come out, you'll be strong.
Right.
Right.
Kevin Lemons is a good example. He's a choir out of Atlanta.
Yes.
So Kevin has been singing down there and it's been phenomenal forever. And Hezekiah just signed him to his label. And Hezekiah is, of course, with RCA, but he also has a deal with E1 because he kind of has two things, Azusa, you know, that movement he started, and then Hezekiah Walker and Love Fellowship. And so I was happy to see Kevin, after all these years, get a platform. It's still up to you as an artist as to what you do with the platform.
That's
Right.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Another
right.
thing I see sometimes, I try to go to things in the city and different people invite me to things, and if I feel like they can hear and they have a heart to hear, Doris, I'll share with them. Everybody needs to wear the same thing. If you're gonna wear black and white, wear black and white.
Right.
I mean, I'm even particular about ladies and their jewelry and how the men dress, because if you're independent and your goal is to be connected to a major label, all of that is relevant.
It is.
They're looking at imaging.
They
They're
are.
looking at pitch, tone,
That's right.
sound, wardrobe, the way you articulate. All of that is relevant.
Yeah.
And so this is what I'm sharing with everybody. Make sure that you do all of that first and have
Yes.
all of that together.
That's right.
Because there are thousands of groups and singers.
It
And a
is.
lot of them are called. And a lot of them are great. I've heard singers that sounded better than people that I
Exactly.
hear on the radio.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
and so that's all I'm saying to everybody. And I want to start something, and I'm going to do it in 2019 because it's been burning. It's like there's no gathering place where everybody can come, even if it's just once a month. I want to know that Terry has a CD out and that you have a book out and
Yeah.
that you have a recording about to come out, and,
Yeah.
or that Bruce is booking for a national TV show, because sometimes that's what's missing.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
You
true.
know,
That's true.
and a lot of times people are just a phone call away.
Exactly.
You know, and I feel like people should utilize the resources around them, because people will call me about groups here and I'll say, I never heard of them. And they'll be like, really? I say, no. And then they'll ask me, do you know Rico Lattimore? And I say, absolutely. Because he has a presence.
Yes.
He's made sure that his group is out. He uses social media. It doesn't matter whether you get 500 likes or 25. Utilize the resources that are at your fingertips, specifically the ones that are free.
That's it.
But that's what I feel like is the only thing that I see missing between a lot of independents and national acts. Because let's talk about who's national and major, but they're still independent. Tamala Mann isn't with a label. Tamala Mann is independent. Her and David have their own thing. Yeah, they have national distribution. A lot of people have been distributed through Central South for years.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
Central South has a platform. They still are able to get music out. I was looking at Billboard before I shut my computer down today, and a lot of the artists that I saw on there were independent artists. You know, they weren't attached to any label. Like Fred Jerkins has a song out, I think it's called Victory. Well, that's his own label. Yeah, he's a machine. He's been around for a long time, but he's still prepared to come out with what he has so that he can go forward in ministry. Charles Jenkins, he's not with a label and never has been. We've had 3 back-to-back #1 songs, Awesome, War, and Grace. And all those were done through his label called Inspire People and his funding. But before I met him on one of the Radio 1 cruises one year, he was already storing up and preparing when he got his first break.
Yeah.
You know, so in songwriting, I want to talk about that. I did a CD on Israel Halston a couple years ago, and we had a big song on it called It's Not Over with #1, Love Israel, Love His Ministry. Israel had been attached to labels for years, but he wanted to do this project independent. And a lot of times, you guys, what is happening, what is attracting national labels to artists is their history.
Yes.
So they may not be apt to sign an independent artist day one unless they feel like you have something a little different. That's why I tell everybody, quit trying to do the same thing.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, why does everybody want to sound like the other group?
Exactly.
Right.
I
You
don't
know?
get that either.
Right.
I've seen artists that have been signed to major labels. I don't think many people knew who Travis Green was ahead of time, but he had something different, and they heard that
Right.
sound.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I just share with everybody, prepare first.
Yes.
I agree.
Build a team.
Yes.
When Byron Cage and I started together, and I'm headed to Atlanta for his 30-year ministry concert, he was a musician at my church, and I was just there worshiping. And we just connected 30 years ago. And, you know, just stuck together in ministry all these years. But he was independent. And Air Records signed him, but he was all over Atlanta singing and playing. And I think sometimes people look at home as though I'm never going to do anything here. Well, no, that's not true.
not
Wherever you are, make some noise
Make
where
some
you
noise,
are.
right.
Make sure everybody knows
Yeah.
you. And I had an artist ask me recently, how do you think I can get booked? I said, call all the churches in your area first. Just pick up the phone and call them. I said, I will make a list of at least 10 minutes of music that I knew in the city. Even if they don't have anything to offer you, they give you the platform, you go sell the product.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was on the road with Vicki Winans one time at a Mega Fest, and she sold enough product at that Mega Fest to come in #1 on the Billboard chart. So you're right, these venue sales still count.
They count.
And because the hard copies aren't selling the way that they used to, but that is still that chart. That chart still counts those. You can make some noise that way.
That's true.
Get
That's
1,000 pressed and see how many you can sell.
That's right.
And where you're selling them from doesn't mean you have to be there.
Yeah.
You may send 200 CDs that you just recorded to his church, Omega and Dayton. Give 50 to Doors and ask them to sell them for you and get them all recorded. There's an app for it now, but it
Yep,
used to just
it
be a
is.
paper sheet.
Right.
So I just think we gotta work.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I said. It's
just
hard.
gotta work.
It's hard work.
That's
It's
true.
not. It's not impossible to do.
It's not
It's
impossible.
definitely hard work. And as my team gets ready, because Terry, I want you to go get set up because she's gonna sing for us, y'all. Oh my God!
Yes.
She just had a live recording.
And there's a book called the Gospel Industry Roundup. But to
Yes,
me,
I
that
love
that.
it
I
has
love
so
that.
much
That's right.
information
I
in
love
it.
that.
It does.
Really
It does.
does.
I want you to get ready so you can
Okay.
sing. But one of the things before we go to Terry, I want Bruce. You said something that was really funny. People a lot of times they come to him after they've wasted money, wasted time, and resources, and they decide, okay, this didn't work. Whoever he was working with, and then they come to him. You know what I mean? So I wanted him to kind of share his experience of what is it that you would tell artists before they even waste their money going to somebody that's either not experienced, don't know what they're doing, somebody that's a wannabe, what would you say to them before they do that?
That's an awesome challenge. Those artists, and most of the artists really need to have someone that they can discuss the business of music to be able to have a better understanding. Tracy's I Hear Music in the Air is one of those avenues within which you can come and learn and fellowship with folks that are actually in the business and can share with them how to generate expand their music ministry. And at this point, most of the independent artists, just need to have that platform. They need to have a team. It's difficult to do everything by yourself. And being able to network with other individuals that are in the business will definitely help to kind of bridge that gap. It's not enough for people to say, well, I went to so-and-so and I didn't get anything from the results. I'm kind of heartfelt with those kind of experiences, but at that point, you just kind of have to keep the faith. And most individuals are result-oriented. As long as you can show results from your efforts, that will give them that much more confidence to continue doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I always ask people when they come to me, and I'm picky about who I work with, you know what I'm saying? But the people that I have chose to work with, I ask them up front, Doris, what is your expectation?
There you go.
And that's where you got to start, because based on the product you have and the sound you have, it may be that we can do a regional campaign on you as opposed to a national campaign. It may be that we target BC Sunday stations as opposed to the top 50.
Right. I agree. Because there have been people that have actually come to Bruce. They'd be like, well, they want a stellar next year. You know what I mean? It's just kind of unreasonable sometimes.
And you have to chart to even be able to be nominated.
Exactly.
Well, not nominated, but to be on the ballot for a stellar.
Exactly.
Now they've changed it. You have to have a certain position on the chart.
Exactly. So you have to be reasonable, people, in what you expect to accomplish. It doesn't mean you can't, because every now and then it's that anomaly song comes along by some unknowns, and it'll just take off like wildfire. But that is not the case all the time. So be reasonable in what your expectations are and what it is that you want to get from your people that are on your team, especially your marketing and promotions team. And I want to talk about that a little bit more when we come back, but we are getting ready to be blessed. Oh my God. By my sister, Teresa Terry Anderson, and she's going to bless us with one of the brand new songs on her CD, My Story. This song is called You Are a Great God. Bless us, Terry. Bless us, bless us.
Amen.
All I need, everything to me. You are a great God. You are a great God. Awesome wonder, marvelous in my eyes. You are a great God. You are a great God. All I need, everything to me. You are a great God. You are a great God. Awesome one, marvelous in my eyes. You are a great God. You are a great God. All I need.
Anderson. You are a great guy. That is one of my favorite songs on the project. Bless your heart, girl. Oh, I love that song. I love that one. That was my favorite one. I was glad you said you was going to sing that
Okay,
one.
wonderful.
So you guys support her? Support Tama? We got some independent artists in the house. I'm so proud of you guys. I really am. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
Before we went to Teresa blessing our hearts with that song, I did want to go back to Bruce for a minute. And I just wanted to ask him, from your point of view, how important is it in educating yourself? Because I did want to speak on that. Tracy kind of moved in that direction, and that was one of the places I was going anyway. But how important do you, from what you're doing in support of artists that come to you for marketing and promotions assistance, how important is it for them to be educating themselves on the business of gospel music?
Very important. Too often, they're challenged by not having any business savvy of the industry, of the business of music, where they may be more into the artistry and ministering in song or preaching or what have you. But I think at this point, being able to have attending the I Hear Music Conference was again an item that I know people can find enough information and enough people that are seasoned in the industry to be able to kind of help educate them to the areas within which they may not know enough about. Between that and going to the Stellar Awards, they also have, and the Gospel Music Workshop of America are several with them. And then there's another one that we were talking about.
IGAA, which we're involved with Philip Carter and Earl Bynum, the Independent Gospel Alliance, and then the North Carolina Gospel Announcers Guild, which is Arvetra. John's another friend of ours, and the DIY conference that's sponsored by cdbaby.com. They have a conference every year.
So that
The Strategic Music Partnerships,
internet,
which is Henry Harris.
Some people may not go to any of those.
That's
but on
true.
the internet, there's a lot of information. Philip was an artist that I promoted many years ago, and I went to his conference and spoke, and he's phenomenal.
He is.
Working a project for Earl Bynum and the Mount right now. So it's a lot of talent
It is.
out there, and it's a lot of resources. But I
We were just
tell
giving
people-
resources
Oh, no,
of.
I love that. And I'm just saying, it's like people I talk to doors, and they don't even have the resources to get to a lot of those places. And they're asking me, how can I find some information so I know my next step, Bruce? And I say, just get on the internet. And I'll send them to different sites. Just read.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information
It
out
is.
there. And I mean, even when we do workshop classes, and I've been to all of those. I've spoken at our veterans before too. You only have a certain amount of time. And then it's their time. So I'm saying to a lot of independent artists, get on the internet and begin to read about publishing research. You know what I'm saying? Go to the library. I still believe in the library too.
Can I add to that? You know, and that's very true. I know I did a lot of research in some of my startup years. I've always just kind of Googling stuff and going to different things. And I was very fortunate to kind of get connected with a couple of people who are part of the Chicago Announcers Guild and do a couple of their showcases just from Googling showcases. And, you know, and from going, and so it's definitely important and stuff to do your research and to definitely search things and to try to put yourself out there, because a lot of people don't have like the resources and stuff to say, well, hey, well, let me go here, let me do this. You know, it's like, okay, or if you're not connected to a certain affiliate, a church organization, you know, if you're not Kojic or you're not in the full gospel, or you're not Baptist, or, you know, to go to those also, you know, there is a lot of catalysts and different things. I've been very fortunate to kind of gain a lot of my momentum through our GMWA, you know, being a part in college and being a part of my local chapter. Because even if you can't go to the national convention, you can be a part of your local chapter, because they allow for you to submit songs and things, and your choir can actually sing your song while you're here, you know, and it helps to kind of build that traction and the momentum. If you go to GMWA National, they got plenty of showcases and things. Be on them every year, you know, until somebody remembers, hey, weren't you the one that was there last year? You know, and it pays off eventually.
Well, I know that one of the things that I think is really important is knowing who your radio people are. I think that is very important, whether it's just terrestrial radio or whether it's satellite radio. Satellite radio is booming, actually. And I think it's very important to know who those people are. I know, during Stellar's weekend when they have the awards for a lot of the gospel announcers, I remember when we were promoting my project, I knew all those people, mainly because of my husband, but a lot of the artists that were there, they weren't even there. They won't go. And I was like, if you're going to be somewhere, you need to be there. That's where that's where the radio people are. You can't ignore the radio people, but you want them to play your record. You know what I mean? That's your opportunity to put the record in their hand. Introduce yourself. Let them know who you are. Package it so they can remember you. But when we were promoting my project at the event, everybody's like, well, how do you even know these people? And I'm like, we were going to the Gospel Announcers Guild awards before. Well, we were doing it back when nobody would go. Nobody was going but the announcers. The people would not go. And then they changed the venue, and it's one of the biggest things at the.
But that's what I was going to say. It's a process, and you can't just walk in and walk up to
no.
Jerry Smith. And so I think that can be the challenging part for some artists. If you're not with someone that can help you navigate through the Stellar Awards weekend or Gospel Music Workshop of America, you just frustrate. And so, but I do agree, if you can, get to know some of the program and music directors nationally, that's huge. But to me, that's still a challenge. Now, of course, when I take my artists,
It's different now.
I make sure they interface with, engage, and meet and talk, but that's not always the case. So I think that's another frustrating part for independent artists. If I get to a place, what do I do when I get there? Right. So if it was me and I was going to the Stellar Awards, okay, well, I'm not performing on the main stage. I couldn't get on the pre-show. I couldn't get on the Announcers Guild. So what do I do? Well, there's like 50 different independent showcases. I've been judging something called Stella's Best, and it's some huge talent that has come through Stella's Best. And last year, Stella's Best did their own live recording, and it was huge.
Oh, wow.
Right.
And a lot of us came, that have been in the industry for a long time to support. So I would say prior to going to an event, just like what I was sharing earlier, research what's there. Gerald and Tammy Hatton do a big event at the Stellar Awards every year. And so I did a couple listening parties over the years with different people. And, a lot of independent artists, you guys, have become national artists. So to me, it's a process, and it may not happen overnight. But let's talk about when it doesn't happen. When you still are independent artist 20 years from now, and you never still got connected with a label, it does not mean that you don't have a name and a presence and a footprint in the industry.
Yeah.
You just have to be comfortable with that.
Right.
Like Tanya Baker, she can out-sing them all. So Tanya's never had a major deal, but she's smart. When she came to I Hear Music, she met Byron, and then she went on tour with Byron Cage.
Yeah, that's right.
She began to connect with people. Because it's one thing to have a connection, it's another thing to utilize it.
Correct.
And so this is what I'm saying, everybody, look at who's already in your space and what can you do, what partnerships, how can you engage those people. I was talking to somebody out of Dayton recently, and they were telling me that they had never met Faith Daniels. I said, okay, well, let me make sure I connect y'all. That's easy. So Faith, my friend's getting ready to call you. He just moved there. So I think, again, just utilizing the resources that are around you.
Now, some of the artists that I've had the opportunity, I guess, to kind of talk to, some of the independent artists who are just kind of starting, and they're asking me like, hey, I want your advice. And I'm like, why? Like, seriously, why? But I tell them, I say, like, some of the time it's just being present. Sometimes just to go and attend and to just observe, and you'll learn so much just by paying attention, who is in the room, because I first met you at the book expo.
Yeah.
And stuff at St. Clair. So, just sometimes it's just reading, as you said, and they're just going and observing, and you never know who you're running to. I said, I know her face. And then when I saw your sign, I said, oh my God, that's George Luke. I know who that is. I'm going to go introduce myself. And, and so I think that's a lot of it too. It's just being present. You don't always have to sing. Just be present, let people see your face sometimes, and just
And it's good
be
to
in the room.
support other people. I don't have to be on program to support.
Right.
I didn't do anything at your. I just went because this is my friend. You know what I mean? So you have to go and support other people, and just let them know that hey, keep doing what you're doing. Encourage them. Buy their CDs. They selling CDs. Buy a couple of them. We bought 2 of your CDs. So I think it's important to be supportive. instead of allowing that demon of competition to come in, because I hate that. And that's why I think some of these independent artists can't really get together to do anything, because they think they're in competition with you, when in actuality they should be in fellowship with you. You know, as a brother or sister, you just doing something different. That's right. It doesn't mean that whatever I'm doing is more important than what you're doing. We just, you know, because again, it gave him an opportunity once he met me, because I was doing my show live in Dayton. And he came up and introduced himself, and we've stayed in contact ever since. And I was like, well, come and be on my show. You just never know what will happen. That's true. You know, you never know. And it's really important to be able to create those relationships within the industry. That's how I have learned a lot of, you know, come to know a lot of people. That's how my husband knew everybody. I don't think we can go anywhere and they don't know. Everybody knows him. I don't care where we go. Everybody knows who he is. And the same thing with Tracy. So it's like sometimes you just have to kind of get out there and introduce yourself, show yourself friendly. That's what the Bible says. To make friends, show yourself friendly.
Can I ask Tracy a question?
Sure.
Do you feel that when you're building yourself, are there concerts, programs that are relevant, or concert and programs that's like a waste of time?
I'll speak specifically to you, since I know you and I've seen you. I think that everything you're doing is right. I mean, you have a brand. People know who you are, and they know the group. But I still like you solo.
Okay.
I still like you on the Baby Grand singing.
Okay.
Because to me, you like the Alicia Keys of gospel.
Okay.
But I love the fact that you gathered other people around you, because really what you gave them was a platform.
Okay.
So when I saw that, I said, well, God must have called her to do that.
Okay.
So I don't really think anything is a waste of time.
Okay.
And I think this many years later, you kind of have, you know, you kind of feel when you don't need to do something.
Yeah.
But I feel like the more you do in the right places matters.
Okay.
So if you feel like you have saturated Cincinnati, then you need to work through Dayton.
Right.
You need to work through Columbus. You need to do more things in Chicago.
Gotcha.
Go to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And just reach out.
Yeah.
You know, you utilize me as a resource. You can say, hey, Tracy, I want to work Indianapolis, and this particular weekend, can you connect me with some churches? Absolutely.
Okay.
Here's some churches there. I know pastors everywhere. Because that's where most of my artists are, in churches every Sunday,
Gotcha.
right?
Right.
Or on Fridays or on Saturday. But the only thing I do feel sometime about things that may not be relevant, I don't think you ever get to a level where you can't do a small church. I don't think you ever really get to a level where you can't go somewhere where you know, it might be a conference and it may not be well attended, because I think if you're called to ministry, you're called to ministry.
That's true.
But I do think if you've been a blessing to somebody several years, you can skip them the next time. That's good.
That's funny.
I understand that one.
And before we go, I really want everybody to give your information to our viewers, so that if they want to contact you or need to contact you, even if they just want to say, hey, I just wanted to hook up, saw you on the show, could I talk to you? Because I'm trying very hard to get in. So don't feel like just because you only have a few years that you can't teach somebody something. I think everybody can learn from everybody. And you might can help somebody not fall into some things that you may have done, and you can say, well, I wouldn't do this, or I would try to refrain from doing that. So you don't discount how long you've been in here. And my husband's been in the industry over 35 years. She's been in the industry forever. So that's wonderful that we have the wisdom here. But everybody starts somewhere. And the Bible tells us not to despise humble beginnings, because everybody started somewhere. That's right. So you can help somebody. Don't think that you
platform.
can't. Yeah.
I mean, you're a minister of music.
Exactly.
So Terry can come to your church and sing.
Exactly.
You know?
Sure can.
See, Terry.
So that's what I'm saying.
There you go.
So you have to be, always feel like, well, I may not have that much, but whatever I have, I can share it.
Yes.
So that I want everybody, give the viewers your contact information, especially on social media, so they can hook up with
definitely.
you.
Okay.
Especially you. You got a new project, girl.
Well,
Tell them.
yes. Well, I have a website, www.teresaterry.com. You can look me up. I'm on Facebook, Facebook under Teresa Terry Anderson, and I'm on Instagram as Teresa Music, and you can find me that way.
All right, amen. Tommy, tell them how to get in contact with you.
You all may follow me on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Tommy McGuffey, at and at True Worship Live. Sorry, I was like, what's the group? Guys, I have a couple of them. And you can find out everything about me on there. We can connect and everything. I have an upcoming project which will be out in the summer. I just had my live recording, so it's gonna be wonderful and everything. So I'm excited. Amen.
Amen. Bruce, tell everybody how to get in contact with you and Push It Marketing and Production.
Push It Marketing and Promotions. We have a website, pushitmarketingandpromotions.com. Also, the digital media, Push It Marketing and Promotions, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Reverb Nation, SoundCloud. Email pushitmarketingandpromotions@gmail.com.
He specializes in independent artists right here in the city of Cincinnati.
Amen.
And Miss Tracy, give them your contact information,
one of
especially about I Hear Music.
Okay. Well, one of my websites is ihearmusicintheair.com. Another one is the Black Family Reunion. I'm the director of that. And our website is myblackfamilyreunion.org. You can follow me on social media, Facebook, Tracy Artist, Instagram, at iHearMusic. So office number 513-229-0502.
Well, amen. Well, we just have a couple minutes, I think. I just want to ask you guys real quick, what are you guys doing to brand yourself? 3 minutes. Just tell me like one or two things you're doing to brand to make your name greater so that people know who Teresa Terry is.
Well, for one, I'm building a team that's helping to make that happen.
Yes.
And that's what I'm working at, to make sure I have this team that's ready to make what I need to happen go.
Amen. And what are you doing, Tommy?
I have been very fortunate to actually create a lot of projects on my own and everything. So whether that's me having books, music, writing, all those kinds of things. I just recently signed to management under. So shout out to my manager, Ishmael Ferguson.
Okay.
So I know he's going to tune in. And so that's been this year. You know, this has been my 8th year. Tommy McGuffey and True Worship. And so I believe that the number 8 is always a new beginning. So I think this is going to be really, really great.
Awesome. I'm just excited. We are at the end of another year. Can you believe that?
Yeah,
We're
I know.
so blessed. This has been kind of a rough year for me, but I'm so grateful to be here. I'm still here, and I give all glory to God. And I just want to thank all of our viewers. You guys are just the bomb. I'm so grateful that you guys follow me. They hit me up on social media all the time. They always want to know who's going to be on the next show, what we doing. And they know I love authors, I love recording artists, and I love playwrights because I'm just an arts person. I love the arts. And anything I can do to help push that out and help other people know the resources that are going on in the city, you need to know these people. These are people that you need to connect with. And you never know what will happen. You just don't know. Amen. So I just want to thank everybody for joining us this year. I'm telling you, it's been the bomb, I got to say. It's been rough, but it's been a good year. God is blessing us. I know he has some awesome things in store for everybody at this table in 2019. I Hear Music is going to be the greatest it's ever been in 2019. Push It Marketing and Promotions is going to be the greatest it's ever been in 2019. Tommy McGuffey and True Worship is going to be the greatest they have ever been in 2019. And Teresa Terry, we already know. You are going to be the greatest you have ever been. I just think God is going to open up doors that you didn't even know were possible. And we can't limit God. We don't know how he's going to come. That's right. And that's why I was telling you, you know, the Lord had me on this journey where I'm preaching and teaching. I'm like, I don't know what none of this got to do with singing. But you don't know what God is doing sometimes, and you just have to follow his lead. And I see now, I was telling Bruce that the other night, I said, I see him bringing me on back around to the music piece. So he had me doing that for a few years. It was obviously something he wanted me to do. So you have to be open to the Spirit. Make sure you're called to do this because this is not easy, but it's doable. And if God has called you to do it, you will do it. Thank you so much for being with us in 2018. I will see you guys in the new year in 2019. Merry Christmas and have a blessed and prosperous new year. Let everything that has breath praise the Lord.